Today, we're diving into a philosophy that proposes something truly radical, a declaration of independence, not from a country, but from the very idea of cosmic authority itself. You know, for literally centuries, for millennia really, humanity has been absolutely haunted by one single question. It's the big one. It's the question that has shaped so much of our history. Think about it. This one question has shaped everything. Our societies, our laws, our ideas of right and wrong, it's all been built on this fundamental assumption of a vertical authority, a power above us that we must answer to. But what if that's the wrong question? What if it's always been the wrong question? What if this whole debate, theism versus atheism, is just a trap? And the most important question is the one we've never really dared to ask. And that right there, that's the core of the problem. It's this massive intellectual deadlock we find ourselves in. You see, there's this growing group of people out there, maybe you're one of them, who feel kind of stranded. Traditional religion just doesn't feel intellectually honest anymore. But at the same time, the usual secular answers, they don't quite hit the mark either, do they? Neither side really feels like you're standing on your own 2 feet, like you're truly sovereign. I mean, look at the options. On one hand, you've got theism, which, let's be honest, demands a kind of permanent servitude. Then, on the other hand, there's atheism. And sure, it's intellectually solid, but its main job is to tell you what isn't there. It tells us there's no king, which is great, but it doesn't really give us the philosophical tools to reject one if he suddenly showed up at the door. So what's the way out? Well, the solution proposed here isn't about finding a new answer. It's about asking a completely new question. And this is the real game changer. And this is it. This is the heart of the whole idea. It's called the jurisdictional pivot. We completely shift gears. We stop asking about ontology, what exists, and we start asking about jurisdiction. We start asking about political and moral right. So instead of asking, is there a king in the castle, we start asking, by what right would any king, whether he exists or not, get to rule over us? And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Power does not equal authority. Existence does not equal legitimacy. I mean, think about it. A dictator on Earth certainly exists. He definitely has power. But does that give him the moral right to rule? No way. This philosophy simply says, okay, let's apply that same exact logic to the cosmos. And this is where it connects so powerfully to the Enlightenment, right? We, as a species, learned to question the authority of earthly kings. Kings who claimed their power came directly from God. So what's the next logical step? Well, it's to extend that logic upward and question the authority of God himself. The whole argument really stands on 3 simple, powerful ideas. First, just because you can create something doesn't mean you get to rule it. Second, the moment you demand obedience from someone, you're opening yourself up to their moral judgment. And third, this is the big one, all legitimate authority, all of it, requires the consent of the governed. And when you put those 3 things together, well, the conclusion is kind of unavoidable. Any divine claim to rule is just morally and legally empty. Okay, so if we're serious about applying these standards of jurisdiction, then we have to do an audit, a full-on cosmic audit of this divine claim to governance. And this isn't about feelings or faith. This is a cold, rational, almost forensic evaluation. What happens if we strip away all this sacredness and just analyze this claim to power like we would any other? To do that, you need clear standards, right? Any legitimate government has to meet certain criteria. Are the rules clear? Does the punishment actually fit the crime? And is the world you designed even safe for the people living in it? These are the basic metrics we'd use for any ruler. And that brings us to what might be the most glaring problem in the entire theistic contract, the hell clause. Think about this for a second. An infinite punishment, eternal torment for a finite crime, like simple disbelief. A crime based on, let's face it, pretty ambiguous evidence. Does that sound like proportional justice to you? I mean, in any rational legal system, that kind of deal looks a lot like extortion. And then there's the engineering competence. If you're an all-knowing creator, then every flaw in the system, every earthquake, every genetic disease, every single instance of pediatric cancer isn't an oopsie, it's a design choice. You can't take credit for the sunset and then wash your hands of the tsunami. So, after you run that audit, what's left? This isn't about just tearing everything down and leaving nothing. The goal is to clear away the shaky foundation so we can build something new, something solid.
This philosophy sees itself as the next logical step in how humanity has understood authority. First, we saw power in nature itself, animism. Then we placed it in the heavens, with theism. Atheism created this kind of authority vacuum. So the final step is to bring authority back to the only place it ever really belonged, right here, within ourselves.
And I love this idea. It's a fundamental shift in how we see ourselves. A subject begs a king for favors. A citizen stands up and claims their rights. We stop looking up, hoping for a cosmic parent, and we start looking across at each other as equals, as partners in this whole thing.
So, what's the new basis for morality? It's not about divine commands anymore. It's not about sin. It's about our shared vulnerability. It's about harm. Morality shifts from being about an offense against some invisible ruler to a real, tangible offense against another living, feeling being. The goal becomes beautifully simple: minimize suffering and maximize flourishing. That's it.
And just so you know, the powerful ideas we've been walking through today, they come from a text called the Manifesto of Omittoism, which really lays out this entire philosophical framework in incredible detail. And so, we land here with this final, incredibly powerful question. This philosophy isn't really an answer, is it? It's a starting point. It's the moment we graduate from the nursery of divine oversight and step out into the full light of our own responsibility. That silence from the heavens, maybe it isn't a void. Maybe it's just an open field, waiting for us to build something on it.